Hey guys, welcome to your next project. In this project, we're going to be creating a theme called FourCorners, which is a nice, clean, and elegant looking theme. Okay, we'll start at the top here. We have a top bar with some social icons. The profile URLs you can add from within the customizer in the back end. Okay, and you don't have to show every one if you don't want. If you clear the form or clear the input, the icon will disappear. We also have options for the phone number and email. We have some other icons, and these are coming from Font Awesome. We have a search bar up here, search box, and then in the header we have the logo or the site title, and then we have our menu here, primary menu. On the home page, we're displaying featured posts, so if you create a post and you mark it in the featured category, it'll show up here. It has a different look than the regular blog page, which I'll get to in a minute. Alright, down at the bottom we have a footer with 4 widget positions. This is just a text widget for About Us, categories, latest posts, and then we have a text widget with some Google Maps embed code, HTML. Alright, so if we click on Read More, it takes us to a single post page. Now, on the inner pages, we have this banner, which just has the title and then an excerpt from the page or the post. On the side, we have our sidebar widgets, categories, archives. We have the featured image here, and then the metadata along with some Font Awesome icons. We have the content, and then we have our comments form. Alright, if we click on About, that just takes us to a single page. We still have the banner here with the title and excerpt. I don't have any content here, just the words About page, but obviously you can add content. Alright, now if we go to blog, this is the main blog role. Okay, we have this banner up here. This is actually coming from the template page itself, so you could edit that from within the template index.php. And then we have the image, large image, the metadata, the title, the content. Alright, if we click on gallery, this is these are posts that are in the gallery category. Alright, so if you create a gallery category and you put posts in there, they're going to show up like this. And we're using something called hover.css, which is a kind of like a CSS library that is used for hover effects. And if we click on one of these, it just takes us to the post. Alright, if we go into the back end and we go to customize, you can see we added this details area, and this is where you can put the phone number, basically all the header info or the top bar info. Alright, your social media profiles. If you don't have a YouTube page, you can just delete that, and the icon will also delete. Alright, so that's going to be it. It's a pretty simple but clean looking template or theme, so we'll get started in the next video. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and start on the FourCorners HTML template before we get into making it into a WordPress theme. Now we're going to be using a few different libraries for the template. We're using Foundation as our main CSS framework. We're also going to use Font Awesome so that we can have access to some nice clean icons. And then we're also using something called hover.css, which is a small CSS library that will allow us to create hover effects. And you can see all the different examples down here. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new folder for our template. Okay, we're just going to call this FourCorners_HTML. Alright, and we're going to create a few things in here. Let's create a CSS folder. Let's create a JavaScript folder. Folder for images. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and grab Foundation. We're going to download it. Alright, and we're going to bring over some files. So in our CSS folder, we're going to bring app.css and foundation.css. And then in the JS folder, we're going to bring over app.js in the vendor folder. Alright, And then for index.html, what we can do is bring that over as well. Whoops. We'll bring that over, but we're going to change quite a bit. Alright, now for Font Awesome, we're going to grab that as well. Okay, we're going to bring over the fonts folder and then the CSS file. And if you want to use the minified version, that's fine as well. Okay, finally we need to grab hover.css. We'll click download on GitHub. Let's go ahead and just download the zip. Okay, and then we're just going to grab just the hover.css file and bring it over to our CSS folder. Alright, so that should be it for third-party libraries. Now if we open up index.html in the browser, it looks like this. Alright, so let's go ahead and open with Sublime Text, and we'll change some stuff here. The title, we'll just say FourCorners theme or template. Okay, so we have our foundation CSS and our app CSS being loaded. We're also going to want some other stuff here. Okay, we're going to want the Font Awesome. We're also going to want hover.css. Alright, app CSS is what we're going to use for our custom styles that we create. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of everything in the body. Okay, it's not needed. Except for the scripts at the bottom, I'm going to keep those. Alright, so if we save this and we look at it, we just have a blank page. Alright, so clean slate. So we're going to start with the top bar. So let's create a div and give it a class of top bar. Alright, and then in there we're going to have a div with the class of row. Okay, we'll be using the grid system. And let's do a 3-column div. If we take a look at the finish template, we have the social icons. This is going to be a 3-column. This will be a 3. They'll all be 3 columns. We'll have 4 3-column divs. So we'll say div class large 3 columns. Okay, we'll indent this a little bit. And let's copy this 3-column div 3 more times. And this first one I'm going to also give a class of social. And let's get those icons in there. So we're going to have a link around them. So this one will have a class of FA for Font Awesome. FA-Facebook will give us the Facebook icon. Alright, and let's copy this. Okay, change this one here to Twitter. This one will be LinkedIn. This one will be Google+. And this one will be YouTube. Alright, now in this column here, we're going to have the phone. So I'm going to put a span tag. And in here we're going to have our icon. So it's going to be an I tag. We're going to give it a class of FA, FA-phone. And we'll say phone 1-800. Okay. And then the next one's going to be for an email address. So let's paste that in and change this to envelope for the icon, and then we'll change this to email, and then we'll change this phone number to something@something.com. Alright, and then the last one is going to be the search box. So let's put a form here, and in the form we'll have an input with the type of text, and we're going to give it a name of S for search, give it a placeholder, and we'll just say search. Alright, and then right next to it we're going to have our button. Okay, button type is going to be submit. And we're just going to wrap that around an icon. Okay, so the icon will be FA search. Alright. So that should be the top bar. Let's take a look at it. It's not going to look awesome yet. Alright, it does have the gray background just because we gave it the class of top bar, which is a predefined foundation class. Alright, so let's see. So that ends there. Now we're going to create our header. So we're going to use HTML5 header tags. And let's see, what are we going to do here? We're going to have two columns, one 4 and one 8. So we'll say div class equals large 4 columns. Alright, and then we want an 8 column right next to it. Okay, the 4 columns for the logo, the 8 columns for the menu. So here we're just going to have an H3. We'll say FourCorners. And actually, let's put a link around that. We want that to go to the home page. Alright, and then for the menu, we're going to have a UL with the class of menu. And let's do LIs, links. This will go to index.html. Alright, and then we're just going to copy this. So we'll have home, then we'll have about, then we'll have gallery, and we'll have blog. Alright, so let's save it, reload, and there's our header. Doesn't look very good, but we'll fix that later. So after the header, we're going to have our main homepage post area. Alright, so we're going to wrap these in article tags. Alright, and then let's give it a class of post. Alright, and then we're going to have a div, and this is going to have a class of post-desc for post description, and inside there we'll have a span, and that'll have a date. Okay, under the span we'll have an H3 with the title. After that we'll have a paragraph. I'm just going to paste some dummy text in. Okay. And then under that paragraph we are going to have an H3 tag and then have a link inside of that. And we're going to give this a class of read button or read BTN, and also read more BTN. And we're going to be using hover.css, so we want to include a class to add an animation. So hvr-bounce-out. And if you look at the documentation for hover.css, you'll see all that stuff, all the different classes you can use. Alright, now let's see, after the description we're going to have a div with the class of post img, and then in here we'll have our image. Now you should have a folder called _images in your project files. You want to bring that over to your template image folder. So I'm just going to paste in these, and if we take a look, pick 1, 2, and 3 are going to be for the home page. Post 1, 2, and 3 will be for the blog page. Alright, so let's go ahead and put in source equals img slash what was it, pick1.jpg. Alright, so if we go and reload, that's what it looks like for now. Now we want to copy this article and post it 2 more times. Okay, we're going to change the name of the image. That one will be 2. This one will be pick 3. We can change the title a little bit. Alright. Now, remember, every other one we want the image to switch sides. So all we have to do is the middle article, we're going to go to where our post description is, and we're going to put in here a class called float right. Alright, and that's all we have to do to make it switch to the other side. Alright, obviously right now it's not going to, but once we do the styling. Alright, so it should look like this so far. So let's move along with the index page. So down below the last article, we're going to put a clear fix class here because we want to clear the floats. And this is a class that Foundation provides. Okay, we want to end the div there too. Alright, and then we can move on to the footer. So we'll say footer, let's give it a class of main footer. Alright, and then in here we're going to have a row. And we're going to have 4 3-column divs. So div class, let's say large 3 columns. Okay, and we're going to do an H3 here. And I'm just going to copy that. And then we need 3 more. Okay, this first one is going to be about us. Okay, this is just going to be a paragraph and some social icons, so I'm going to just paste that in. Okay, this one here is going to be categories, and I just have an unordered list to paste in. Okay, same thing here. We have this can be recent posts. Okay, and I'm just going to paste another list in. And then this last one is going to be our location, and that's going to be a Google Map iframe. So I'm going to just paste that in as well. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and save it and reload, and now we have our footer down at the bottom. Okay, none of this looks very good because we haven't done any custom styling. So what I'd like to do is in the next part we will add the inner pages, because we're going to create the about page, the gallery page, blog page, and then a single blog post page. All right, and then we'll move on to the CSS. In the last video we went ahead and created our index.html file. We brought in all the style sheets we need, JavaScripts from Foundation, and so on. So now what I want to do is continue on building some of the inner page, some of the inner HTML pages. So let's go ahead and create a new document, and we're going to call it about.html, and this is just going to represent the inner pages of our WordPress theme. Alright, so we'll open that up, and let's just copy what we have in our index.html and just paste that in. Okay, now we're going to leave most of this, the top bar, the header, let's see, we're going to get rid of these articles. Actually, you know what, we'll keep one of them and get rid of the other two. Alright, we don't need this clear fix either. We do need the footer. Okay. Now, right below the header, we're going to have a title section. So we're going to give this a class of title section. And let's put a paragraph here with a class of, we'll say, class of welcome or welcome text. And what I'm doing here is this. If we go to our WordPress site and we go to About, we're going to have this bar right here. So this will just say welcome to, and then we'll have an H1. We'll say about us, and then I'm going to paste in a paragraph here with some dummy text, and it's going to have a class of subtext. Alright, so that's the title bar. And then down here, we're going to have two columns. Okay, we're going to have the sidebar and then the main area. So let's create a div with the class of row. And then we need our column divs. So we're going to say div class large 8 columns, and then we're going to have large 4 columns. Okay, so this here is going to be the main area. So what I'm going to do is copy this whole article section, and we're going to paste that in here. Okay, instead of the class of post, we're going to give it a class of single page. Alright, and then let's see, we're not going to need the date. Okay, so we'll just have an H3 paragraph. Let me just paste in another one. Okay, we're not going to need this read more. We're not going to have this post image. Okay, so that should be the end of the article. And then in the 4-column div, we're going to put a div with the class of well. Alright, and then in there we're going to have a div with the class of Sidebar Widget. And there'll be a Sidebar Widget div on every widget that we put in. Alright. So let's put an H3. And then we'll put, I'm going to paste in a list. Alright, and then we'll have underneath that, we'll have another sidebar widget. We just indent these. Okay, and then this one will be archives. And we'll say May 2016. So now we have two sidebar widgets, and that should be good. So let's save that and go back to our template. If we click About, okay, so that's our About page with no styling. Now we'll move on to the gallery page. So let's see. Okay, we're going to create a new file here, and we're going to call this gallery.html, and we'll open that with Sublime Text, and then let's just put in everything from the About page. We'll copy that whole thing and then paste it in. Alright, and let's start with the title section, which is right here, and we're going to change this to gallery. Alright, and then down here we're going to get rid of this whole row, which ends here. Okay, even the sidebar. And then we're going to just paste in this section. Save it. Okay. Actually, let's just do 3. We'll do 3 images. Okay, so that's our gallery, and you can see we already have the hover effect because we're using the hover.css classes. Okay, so now for the blog page. We'll open that up, and we'll just copy what we have. We'll copy what we have in gallery. Okay, so we just want to, let's change the title to blog, and then this whole section we're going to get rid of the gallery. And then I'm just going to paste in a blog post. So it's an article with the class of blog post. We have a row, and then we have our thumbnail. Then we have a div with the class of meta. This is going to have the username, the date, things like that. And we're also using Font Awesome icons here. Then we have the title, which also has a link to the single blog post. Then we have the content, and that's it. So let's copy that article or post and paste it in 2 more times, and we'll just change. Let's go to the second one, and we'll change the image to post2.jpg, and then the third post we'll change the image to post3. Alright, and then we'll go and take a look at that, and there's our blog. Okay. Now for the single HTML, we need to create that. That's for the single blog post view. And I know it can be some extra work to basically create the entire site in just HTML, but once you get to the actually programming the WordPress theme, it makes things a lot easier. You can just take the style sheet and just paste it in. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Maybe some touch-ups at the end, but I think in the long run it makes things a lot easier. Alright, so let's copy what we have in About HTML. I think that would be the closest. And we will paste that in single. Okay, and let's go to where we have the title section, and this will just be the name of the post. We'll just say blog post 1. This will be an excerpt from the post. And then down here, let's change the class to single blog post. And then we can get rid of this post description div. We don't need that. Okay, what we want here now is the image. So we'll say div class post thumbnail. And in here we're going to have our image tag. Okay, and then underneath that we'll have our meta. And I'm just going to paste that in. Okay, so same thing, we just have a UL with the username, the date, and the categories. And then we have our title here, then the content, and that should do it. We have the sidebar in here as well. So let's save that and go to single HTML, and it should look like that. Alright, so we have all of our pages now. It looks horrendous, but we don't have any styling yet. So that's what we'll be doing in the next part. Hey guys, we are getting there. We have the HTML done for our HTML template. Now we need to add the CSS to start to make this come together. Alright, so we're going to go in our HTML directory here. We're going to go into CSS and then open up app.css. Alright, so we're going to start from the top and just start with the body. And let's make the color of our text gray. And we're going to set the background to a light gray. Okay, our links, we're going to give the hexadecimal value of 5A, 5A, 5A. Okay, and then we want to style the hover. When we hover over links, say color, and that's going to be gray. Alright, so we have a class of button, and for that we're going to have this color here. Okay, and then let's go to the top bar. We're going to set the font size to 13 pixels, make it a little smaller, and also set the color to a dark gray. Alright, so if we look at the top bar now, we're going to want to style these icons up here. They're way too small. We also want to give them a background and space them out a little bit. So let's say dot top bar dot social. Remember we gave that div a class of social, and then dot fa. Alright, so let's make sure the color is dark gray. We're going to give them a background, F9, FB, F8. Okay, we're also going to give 9 pixels of padding. Set the width to 35 pixels, and then I want to align to the center. Okay, so that looks good. Now the form has quite a bit of styling, so I'm going to paste it in fragments. Alright, so let me grab the CSS for just the actual form. Okay, we're putting a background color a little darker than the top bar. Float left, margin, width is going to be 240. Alright, and then for the input, let me paste that in. Okay, we're just setting the colors, font size, height, line height, padding, margin, things like that. And then for the button, we'll paste that in. Okay, we're going to float it left, font size, height. The button is actually an icon. It's not actual text. Alright, so let's save that and reload. And now our top bar looks pretty good. Okay, so it looks just like, actually we want to move these down a little bit. So remember how we put those in a span tag? So we're going to say top bar span, and let's say display block, and add a padding top of 10 pixels. And there we go. So that's our top bar. So next we have the header. So for the header, the background is going to be white. We're going to give it padding top of 20 pixels and also padding bottom of 20 pixels, and then border bottom, which will be gray, 1 pixel solid. Okay, so that's for the header. Let's save it. Okay, let's also add an overflow of auto. Okay, now for the menu, we're going to say dot menu, and we're gonna add a margin top of 10 pixels, and let's also float it to the right. Alright, now if we save that, that should move over. Okay. Now the header should be, these should be pushed into the middle, like the top bar. I think I forgot the row class. So let's go back to the index HTML, and where we have header, we should have a row div right here. Okay, that acts as a container. So if we reload, now that's pushed to the middle. Now we need to do it to the other HTML pages as well. So I'm just going to copy this whole header, and then we'll just open these up and just replace the header. Okay, good. Single. Alright, so that's taken care of. Next thing is going to be, let's see, we have our header done, that's done. Now post. Okay, so we want to float left, set the width to 100%, and set background to that. And then we're going to take the description, float left, and let's add a bunch of padding. And we're going to set this width to 50%. And then I'm going to post in a couple other things. We have the post description span. We're going to add these styles, and then the H3, we're going to add those. Alright, and then the image, we're going to set to float left, and width will be 50%. Alright, and then the button, let's paste that in. Okay, that's for the read button. Okay, we'll save that. Let's go back and reload. And that looks pretty good. Okay, the button doesn't look quite right. Did I not add text? Let's see, where am I? H3, read more. Oh, I didn't add the text. Okay, so these buttons should have text of read more. There we go. And you can see they have the hover effect as well. So that looks good. Now let's move on to the footer. Okay, we'll go back to our CSS and we're going to paste in some footer styles. So the main footer itself, we have a background color of black, color of white, some padding. The icons in the footer are going to be white with some margin on the right. Paragraphs will have a line height and a width. H3 will have a border, padding, margin, and the UL will have no padding and margin. LIs will have no bullets. Line height will be 2.2 M, and they'll have a border on the bottom. Reload, and there we go. Alright, so that does it for the home page. If we click on About, you can see we have some issues here. I actually want to check out the HTML real quick for About. Okay, so let's see. About should not have this post description div. So let's get rid of that. Okay, there we go. Alright, so let's style this this banner area, which is this section with the class of title section. So we're going to go to our CSS, and I'm going to just grab this stuff real quick. Okay, so title section itself, background is going to be black. We get a lot of padding on the top and bottom. Everything's in the center. We have the H1 with some margin, the welcome text, and the subtext. Save that, and there we go. Now the single page, I just want to add some margin to the bottom. So we're going to say single page and say margin bottom 40 pixels. Let's see, why didn't that show up? Article class single page. Okay, that's good. Alright, so let's see, the sidebar doesn't look that great, so let's add some CSS for that. Okay, so we have our well, which is going to have a white background, some padding. Sidebar widgets themselves have a little bit of styling, the list items, and the UL. Okay, that looks good. Now let's look at the blog page. Okay, so not too bad. We got to fix a couple things here. Let's take care of, we're going to add some margin to the bottom there. Okay, I'm also going to add some margin auto to the blog post image. Alright, the meta has a little bit of styling as well, so let's go ahead and paste that in. Okay, so we're just setting a width of 100%. We're aligning to the center. That's pretty much it. We're adding margin and padding. Save that. And there we go. So that's pretty much it. Let's look at the gallery. Okay, so the gallery, we just want to add some margin to the bottom. I'm actually going to add it to where we put in the single page right here. Let's just add in gallery. I don't think I added it to the actual HTML though. Oh yes, I did. Okay. So that looks good. Let's see. For the actual image in the gallery, I'm going to add some margin to the bottom as well. So we'll say gallery image, margin bottom of 20 pixel. Alright, so things look pretty good. Let's click on single post. That looks good. Alright, I think we're ready to go, and we're ready to turn this into a WordPress theme. Alright, so I will see you in the next video. Alright, so we have our HTML template down. Now we're going to convert it into a WordPress theme. Alright, so I have a default WordPress installation set up. I didn't add or change anything. And what I'm going to do is go and create, first I'm going to add it to my project in Sublime Text. Okay, so I'm just going to add the whole WordPress site, which I have at WordPress 4P. Okay, and then we're going to go to Content, Themes, and let's create a new folder. We're going to call it FourCorners. Okay, and inside there we're going to create our style.css, and we're also going to create our index.php. In the style sheet, let's add our comment block for the declaration. So the theme name is FourCorners. The author is me or you. Author URI. And let's see, description. We'll just say simple and clean WordPress theme. And version 1.0. Okay, so there's our declaration. If we save that, we should be able to go to our back end and go to Appearance, Themes, and you should see it here. Now I'm going to paste in my screenshot. So let's see. Okay, so we're going to paste it right in here, and then if we reload, we can see the screenshot. So let's go ahead and activate it, and if we go to the front end and reload, we're going to just get a blank white page. Okay, so let's bring what we need to over to the folder. So I'm going to open up the HTML folder and the actual theme folder. Okay, so CSS, we want to bring that entire folder over. Actually, we want to bring that. We want to bring fonts and JS. Paste that in. Alright, now for the app.css, what I'm going to do is open that up. I'm going to copy everything in it and then paste it in our theme style CSS and save it. And then we can go ahead and just delete that app.css. Alright, in the JS folder we have our app.js and vendors. Okay, that's good. Alright, so let's go back to Sublime. And let's go to index.php, and then I'm going to open up the index.html file as well. I'm going to copy everything that's in that index.html and put it in the PHP file. Okay, so now if we save that and we go to the front end and reload, okay, we can see the HTML. Now the CSS files aren't being loaded because we need to fix the path. Alright, so where we have our app CSS, we're actually going to change that. We're going to say PHP echo, not echo, blog info, and pass in style sheet underscore URL. Okay, and then for the rest of these CSS files, we're just going to add to the front of it PHP blog info template URL, and then we want a slash. Okay, so we'll go ahead and copy that, and we'll do that to the rest of these. And now if we go back and reload, we get our CSS. Okay, so let's start at the top here, and in this HTML tag we're going to get rid of all this. Actually, yeah, we'll get rid of, we don't need this. So we're going to say PHP language attributes, That's a function. For the char set, we're going to replace that with PHP blog info and just pass in char set. Okay, we can keep this stuff. The viewport we want to keep. For the title, let's get rid of that. And I'm just going to paste in the usual. So we have the blog name, and then we have either the description if we're on the front page, or the page title if we're not, if we're on an inner page. So save that. Actually, let's go ahead and add at the bottom here PHP WP underscore head. Okay, we'll go ahead and reload that. Now we have a blank space up here because we haven't included the WP footer. So let's do that way down at the bottom, right before the ending body tag. Actually, let's go just right above the scripts, and we'll say PHP WP underscore footer. Okay, just get that out of the way before I forget. Okay, so now we get the admin bar. So back at the top, let's change a few things here. So the top bar, we have these social links. Now we're going to have to add some settings to the customizer so that the person can put in their social media links, but we're not going to get to that yet. Same thing with the phone and email. We'll probably get to that in the next video. What else? Let's see. In the header, let's get rid of this, and we want this to be dynamic. We want the blog info and then name. And then we have our menu. Okay, so let's take care of the menu. We're going to create a functions PHP file. Okay, and we're going to add our theme support function. Okay, so we'll call this FC underscore theme support. Okay, let's go ahead and do our nav menus. So we have register nav menus, and then we're going to pass in an array. Oops. Okay, in this array we're going to include primary, and then here we'll say primary menu. Okay, now we need to do add action, and the hook that we want is after theme setup, or I'm sorry, after setup theme. And then we'll just grab this function name and put that as the second parameter. Alright, so let's save that. We'll go back to index, and for our menu we're going to replace the whole UL with a function called WP underscore nav menu, and then we want to pass in an array. Okay, we want the theme location for the menu, and that's going to be primary. And the UL had a class of menu, so we're going to add a menu class of menu. Okay, let's save that. And if we go and reload, now the menu, you can see it's not styled correctly. That's because we haven't set the location correctly. So let's go back, and you should have a menus option under appearance, and we'll say create menu, call it main menu. And down here you can see theme locations. We're going to choose primary menu and save. And then if we go back and reload, now our menu's fixed. Alright. Let's actually create a couple pages. So we'll create an about page. and I'll just grab some content. Alright, and publish. And then let's also add a services page. Okay. Last thing we're going to do is get our header and footer files. Okay, so let's create a new file called header.php and then also footer.php. And then we're going to go to the index and we're going to grab from the very top down to the bottom of the header. Okay, so we're going to cut that and we're going to replace that with PHP get header. Alright, and then we'll paste that in the header file, save and close. And then let's go down to the bottom and get from the very bottom up to let's see, up to the clear fix. Okay, so we're going to cut that and replace it with get footer. Alright, and then we're going to paste that in the footer, save, and should look the same when we reload. Alright, good. So in the next video we're going to work on the customizer because we want to be able to get our links on these icons and also the phone and email. Alright, so we'll get into that next. Alright, so we have our customizer set up. Now what we're going to do is work on the home page posts. So I don't want it to just be the regular index page. It's going to have a custom front page with a custom query where we want to get any posts that are in the featured category. Okay, so first thing I want to do is go back into the back end and let's first create some categories. We're going to have one called featured. Alright, and then let's create, let's say, business, web design, say mobile development, and we also want a category called gallery. Alright, and we're going to get to that later. So let's go to add a new post, and actually before we add the post we need support for our featured image. So let's go to functions PHP, and in the FC theme support function we'll say add featured image support, add theme support, and we want to pass in post thumbnails. Okay, so now if we go back and reload, we have this featured image box down here. So let's grab that or click that, and let's see. Okay, so you should have a folder called underscore images, and I'm going to upload these three and these three. Okay, and we're going to choose this one for our featured image. Okay, we want this to be in the featured category as well. Alright, I'm going to just paste in some dummy text. Now I want to specify where the read more should be. So I want it here, so I'm going to click this insert read more, and then I'm going to paste in the rest. Okay, let's publish that, and let's say add new, paste in some sample content there, and then set featured image. We're going to choose this one, and we're going to choose the featured category. Okay, we'll add another one, paste in the title, paste in the content, featured category, and let's set the image to this one. Alright, now while we're here we might as well create the other blog posts. So we'll say add new, and let's go ahead and paste in the title, and then I'm just going to paste in some content here, and let's set this to, we'll say mobile development, set featured image, we'll grab image here. Alright, so let's publish that. We'll add another one. Okay, paste in the title, content, we'll say web design, set featured image, we'll grab this here, and then let's create one more. Okay, we'll choose business for the category and set featured image, update. Alright, now what we want to do is go to pages, and we want to just create some blank pages, one for the home page, and then we'll create one called blog. Alright, and then what we want to do is go to settings, reading, and set home page or front page to home, and then post page to blog. Okay, once we do that, we can add the menu items. So let's go to menus, and let's see, home we're going to keep as is, but we want to add a couple things. We'll add about and the home page. I'm sorry, not the home page, the blog page. We'll put about right here, and we'll actually get rid of sample page. We don't need that. And let's see what else. That's good. So save, and then if we go to our front end and reload, it's still the same because it's just static HTML right now. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to have a custom home page, so we're going to create a new file and save it as front-page.php. Okay, if we go and reload, we get a blank page because it's looking at this file. So what we'll do is let's go to index.php and grab everything. Let's see, yeah, we'll grab, well, you know what, we only need one of these, so let's just grab this article or post, and we're going to need the header. We'll say php get header, php get footer. Alright, and then what we'll do is we need to set up our custom query. So let's say featured query equals new WordPress or WP underscore query, and then we want to pass in an array with category name is going to equal featured. Alright, and then we'll do our while loop. Okay, we'll say while featured query have posts. Alright, and then right here we want to say featured query the post, and then here we'll paste our article. Okay, so let's save that and see what we get. Okay, so we're getting 3 articles, which is correct. We have 3 posts, but they're all the same content because we're just using static content. So let's update this. The title, we're going to say PHP the title, and now you should see the titles change. Okay, for the excerpt, let's replace this paragraph here and we'll say PHP the excerpt. What else? For the date, we'll say PHP the time, and we want to format that to show the date as well. So I'm going to just paste in some formatting. And let's see, the read more, we're going to have this. This is going to go to PHP the permalink. Okay, that'll take us to the individual post. And then for the image, let's replace this with PHP the post thumbnail. Alright, now we want a specific size, so what I'm going to do is go to Functions PHP, and right under where we included the theme support, or the post thumbnail support, we're going to say add image size, and let's pass in, we'll call it home thumb, and we'll set the width to 715 and the height to 449. Alright, and then we can go ahead and pass in home thumb, and that'll make it the size we want. So let's go ahead and save that, reload. Okay, so that looks good. Now remember, we want every other image to be on the opposite side. So all we have to do here is we're going to add a counter right here. Okay, so we'll say PHP, and let's set a counter. We'll call it I. We'll set it to 0. Alright, and then we just want to go right above the while. I'm sorry, inside of the while. And we want to increment the counter, so I++. That'll increment it by 1, and then we're going to do an if statement, or an if else. Okay, we're going to say if I, and we're going to use the modulus operator, 2 is not equal to 0. So basically we're going to check to see if the counter is even or not. If it is, then let's create a variable called float and set it to no float. And then else, we're going to set float to the class of float right. Okay, and then all we have to do is add that on to the description right here. We're going to say PHP echo float. Alright, so let's go ahead and reload, and now you can see that the images, they kind of switch spots every other post. So that's what we want. So in the next video, we're going to take care of the blog page. Okay, right now it's still set to static content because it's looking at index.php. Okay, so we'll work on that next. In the last video, we took care of the homepage posts, which are posts that are in the featured category. So now we want to work on the main blog page, which is coming from index.php, which right now is just some static HTML. So let's open up index. And first thing we want to do is up at the top, we want that banner or that title section. So let's go right up here, right under the get header, and we're going to create a section, and let's give it a class. Actually, what we can do is just copy it from our HTML. So if we open up blog.html, and let's just grab it from here. Alright, so if we save that and take a look at it, alright. Now let's also grab from our blog HTML the article with the class of blog post. So we're going to grab one of those, and let's replace, we can get rid of all these article posts actually in the index.php. and then we're going to create our while loop. Now what I want to do here is I want to basically get all the posts except the featured posts. So the ones that are on the home page I don't want to show up here. Alright, so to do that we're going to say PHP, we're going to create a variable here called no featured query, and we'll set that to new WP query, and let's pass in an array, and what we'll do is say cat. Now we're going to need the category ID, and we can get that by going to, let's see, categories or posts, categories, and featured. And if you look up in the URL bar, you'll see we have ID equals 3. So what we want to do here is just put in -3. Alright, just like that. And then we want our while loop, so we'll say while no featured query have posts, and then we're going to say no featured query is post, and end while. And then we're going to take that article we copied and paste that in just like that. Alright, so let's make this dynamic. We're going to take, let's see, where we have this div with the class of thumbnail, we're going to wrap that in an if statement. We're going to say if has post thumbnail, have post thumbnail, and then we're going to replace this here with the post thumbnail. Okay, and then we have our meta area, and let's see, for the admin, for the user, I'm going to just go ahead and grab this. Okay, so just like we've done in other projects, we have the author here. We're getting the author's name, and we're wrapping it in this link, which will take us to an archive with all the author's posts. Alright, so for the date, let's replace this. Okay, that'll give us the date and time. And then for our category list, okay, I'm going to paste this in. Okay, so we're getting categories from this function here, and it's an array, so we're going to go ahead and loop through and then output the categories with a link to the archive. Alright, now down here we need the title, so we're going to say PHP the title, and we want this to link to the correct post, so we're going to say PHP the permalink, and this will be the content. I'm sorry, the excerpt. Okay, let's save that, and let's go back to the blog page, reload. Okay, so we're not getting the excerpt for some reason. PHP the excerpt. Alright, so something's wrong here. It looks like it's a never-ending loop. Let's see. So let's take a look at this. No featured query equals WP query cat, and then we have our while loop. Oh, I put is post. It should be the post. Alright, let's try that. There we go. Okay, so now that looks good. Except it's getting pages as well. Oh wait, those aren't pages. Let me check the posts here. Oh, we have services I put in posts. I didn't realize that. Alright, so let's get rid of those. And then that should fix it. There we go. Okay. So for services, let's add that as a page. I was wondering what happened because I remember creating services, but I didn't see it in the pages. And we can also add that to the menu. Okay. So now we have our blog page. And while we're here, we might as well create our archive and search results page because it's going to be very similar to this. So what we can do is copy everything that is in index, and let's create a new file called archive.php, and we'll create a new file called search.php. Alright, so in archive we're going to paste this in and go up to where we have the H1, and I'm going to replace this paragraph with this. This is code that we've been using throughout the course for our archives, checking to see if it's a category or if it's an author archive, whatever it is, and then displaying the correct heading. Alright, so now for instance, if we go and click on this business, this category, it takes us to the business archive, okay, with just posts that are in, oh wait a minute, this isn't right. We need to fix the while loop because right now it's a custom query. So we're going to get rid of this featured query and then just remove it here and here. Okay, so it's just a plain old query. And then if we reload or click, let's do it again, click on business, now it only shows us the business posts. Alright, and then we'll copy what we have here in archive, paste it in search, and go up to the banner, and we're going to change this. Actually, we'll just take what's in this paragraph and we'll say search results. Okay, so now if we were to, let's go to a post and put in the word hello, and then go to our front end and search for hello. That shouldn't happen. Let's say test. Alright, so it's just showing all of our posts. You know what, I think I might have it going to the wrong place. Let's go to header and then go to, where's our form? Right here. Form method equals get, and then, oh yeah, this, let's take that out and we're going to say echo escape URL, and then in here we'll put in home URL and then just pass in a slash. Okay, I think that should work. Okay, we'll say hello and enter, and there we go. Okay, so now the search is functioning properly. In the next video we're going to take care of the single post view. Okay, if we click read more, that isn't what we want. It's showing the index.php file, so we'll get to that next. Alright guys, we're getting there. In this video we're going to take care of our single post pages. So let's create a new file in our theme folder, and we're going to call this single.php. And now if I was to click on read more to go to a single post, you'll see it's completely blank. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the HTML template we created and open up single HTML. and we're gonna grab, let's see, actually before we do that, let's open up index.php, and we want this section, and we also want the get header and get footer, so let's paste that in. Just like that. Alright, now we're going to want the while loop to start up at the top because we want the title to be in the title section. Alright, so let's say PHP while have posts the post end while, and then let's see, in here we're going to want the title, so we'll say PHP the title, and then this here will be the excerpt, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, good. Now let's go to single HTML, and we're going to grab, let's see, this div ends there. So I'm going to copy that and put that in single PHP right here. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so this is all static content. So what we're going to want to do here is let's put in the image first. So PHP the post thumbnail. That should give us the image. Okay. And we should probably wrap it in an if statement to make sure there is actually an image. So we can do that with has post thumbnail. Now the meta I'm going to copy from index.php. Okay, the div class meta right here. And paste that. We'll replace this div. Alright, and then we'll have our title. And then we'll have the content. Okay, so now this stuff is all dynamic. Now for the sidebar, okay, we're going to want to check to see if there's a sidebar widget. And we're going to actually put this above where we have the 4-column div, like that. And then it's going to end right here. Alright, now what I'm doing is I'm making it so that if there's no sidebar widgets enabled, then this is going to be full width. Okay, the main area will be full width. Let's see, so inside of the well div, I'm going to take everything out. And we're just going to paste in our dynamic sidebar function. Alright. Now to make it full width, we're going to grab this if statement and go up at the top, okay, where we have this 8-column div, and we're going to say if there is a sidebar, then this is correct, we want the 8 columns. Alright, but if there isn't, then we want 12 columns because we want it to go all the way across. Alright, and then we can end that. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look, reload. Okay, now it goes across the whole thing because there's no sidebars. Now we want this image to be in the middle, so let's go to Style CSS and let's see, where is it? Right here. Let's go blog post. And then we also want single blog post image. I'm going to set margin auto and let's set width to 100%. There we go. Okay, so that's the single page. Well, actually, we need to add the comment section as well. So let's go back to single PHP and go down to where we have the content. We'll put a line break, and then we'll say PHP comments template. Save. Okay, we might as well create our comments PHP file. We've handled the comments pretty much the same in all of our projects. We're using a custom template and then just styling it a little. Alright, now our template's very simple. This is actually taken from the documentation. Okay, so if you want to copy that, we'll save it. And then I'm going to quickly just add our styles. So let's go to Style CSS. Go down to the bottom. And I'm going to paste in our styles. Okay, now we have our comment section. Now we're going to do the pages. Okay, if we click the About page, it's just showing us index.php. We don't want that. We want to create a new file and call it page.php. And now that should go blank. Okay, and let's copy what we have in single PHP. And paste that in, and then we're just going to change a couple things. We'll get rid of this if post has thumbnail. We'll get rid of the meta div since it's a page. And let's change this class to single page. Title, content, those can stay. Comments template, we'll get rid of that. And the sidebar thing, this will stay the same. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, so there's our About page. Oh, we can actually get rid of this title because we have it up here. So let's see, get rid of that. Nope. Yeah. Alright. Services should look the same. Alright, so everything's coming together. So now let's take care of the widgets. Okay, we have these footer widgets we need to add in. So let's open up functions.php and we'll go right down here and we're going to paste this in. Okay, so we have a function called fc_init_widgets passing in an ID. We have our first widget, which is a sidebar. Before the widget, we're going to have a div with the class of side widget. Alright, the titles will be in H3. Then we have footer 1 through footer 4. Basically, before the widget, we'll just have a div, and the title will have an H3. Okay, we're going to use the widgets init hook in our add action down here, and we'll save that. Alright, now before we deal with the footer widget, let's do the sidebar. So if we were to go to the About page, and you see it's full width because we don't have any sidebar widgets. So let's create some. If we go to, let's reload and go to Appearance, Widgets, and we'll get the categories, put that in the sidebar. Save that, and then let's get archives. Save that. Now if we go back and reload, now we have our sidebar widgets. Alright, cool. If we go to a single blog post, we should also see them. Good. Now for the footer widgets, let's go to footer.php, and what we're going to do is just replace this stuff. This will be the first widget. I'm going to copy the content here, or cut it. We don't need the title. And what we'll do is we'll go to our backend widget area and bring a text widget to footer 1, paste that in. Whoops, that's not it. Paste that in. This will be about us. Alright, and then in here we're gonna paste this in. Okay, we're gonna check for the footer 1 widget. If it's there, we're gonna display it. Alright, let's take this next one. Actually, I'm going to copy this and replace that. This is going to be footer 2. And this one here will be footer 3. And this one obviously will be footer 4. Alright, now I'm going to copy this iframe and then delete it. Delete the heading. Save it, and then let's put a text widget in footer 4, and that's where our iframe will go. Alright, footer 2 is going to have the categories widget, and then footer 3 will have recent posts. Alright, so let's go back and reload, and now these are coming from our widgets. So that's going to do it. In the next video we're going to create our gallery. Alright, so now we're going to work on the gallery display. So the gallery is just going to be a way to display posts that are in that category. Alright, so what we're going to do, we already created the category. Now I want these posts here that are on the home page to be the ones that are also in gallery. So let's go to this post, and you can see it's featured. Let's also make it gallery, and we'll do the same for the other two. This one here, gallery. Alright, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Appearance, Menus, and let's click on Categories, and then click just Gallery. We're going to check Gallery and Add to Menu. Alright, and we'll put this right here. So save. And as far as the functionality, it's all set up. We go to Gallery. You see it's only showing posts that are in the gallery, but we want to customize the way this looks. So what we can do is we can create a new file and save it as category dash and then whatever the category name is, in this case gallery. Alright, and since I did that, now if we go and reload, we get a blank page. Okay, let's copy what we have in index and paste it there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is change this H1 to gallery, and you can put whatever text you want here for the gallery or just remove it. And then we're going to change this query around. Let's change this to gallery query, and we're going to change this to category name, which is going to be gallery. Okay, get rid of this, or replace this actually. Alright, and then in here, what we're going to do is get rid of this whole article. And this is actually going to be very simple. I'm just going to paste this in. Alright, so we just have a div. It's going to be a 4-column div. And it's going to have the thumbnail. It's going to be full size. And we're going to add the class HVR Grow for the hover CSS animation. Alright, so let's save that and go back and reload. And there we have our gallery images. And let's actually wrap this in a section. And we'll give it a class of gallery. And let's see, that'll end here. There we go. And these shouldn't be here. Alright. So I think that's it, guys. We have our FourCorners theme. You know, it's pretty simple, but I think it's pretty clean and elegant. And yeah, so that's it. Alright, hopefully you guys liked this project, and I'll see you in the next one.